YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with Power Rankings. Power Rankings updated every Tuesday morning. We're heading into week 12. We got some changes here and there this week. Excited to break it down. A reminder that it's not end of the year predictions with these rankings based on how teams are playing right now or recently. So maybe a little different than other power rankings you see out there. Subscribe, turn notifications on. We have full NFL coverage, weekly picks Tuesday night, score predictions Wednesday, all kinds of NFL content, more than just that. Links pinned in the comments for our Twitter. It's an absolute must follow. News, rumors, updates. Sponsors, those links are down below. GLD Shop, Liquid IV, code GOAT. Some big time discounts going on GLD Shop, some sales right now. Rocking their Chiefs chain. They got all NFL teams, some NFL jersey pennants. They have one for Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, players like that. Check it out. Links pinned in the comments. Texans remain at 32. Shouldn't really be a big surprise there. Started the game with a pick six, throwing a pick six. Broncos in that 31 spot. Yeah, tough one against the Raiders. Defense played all right most of the game. It really shut down at the end. The offense just cannot get much going. It's a huge disappointment there. So can't lose to the Raiders at home. Can't do it in that fashion either. They're at 31. Never would have thought that would happen, but it happened. Panthers going to stay put at 30. They put up a good fight with the Ravens. Offensively, they were pretty terrible, but the defense, played a little bit. Overall, played better than expected against a team like the Ravens. They stayed put at 30. The Bears down one spot. The Bears continue to score points, but cannot close out games. Can't make the big play when it counts the most. So it's just kind of that's where they're consistent in a bad way. So I think we can come to expect that from the Chicago Bears going forward because they do it every single week. They're down one to number 29. Raiders up 3 spots. They got that clutch win against the Broncos. Still overall have been awful this year. Big disappointment, but they're going to rise up ahead of some of these other teams below them here. So they're up 3 spots. Rams, weird seeing the Rams down here, but tough one against the Saints. It was a back and forth game. Stafford gets injured, and then they kind of just lose at that point, which they could have lost even if Stafford stayed in. But the defense didn't look like a Rams defense in that game. They were actually able to have some explosive plays on offense up until Stafford got hurt, but it's just extremely disappointing. I mean, they're injured. A lot of teams are injured. They're struggling. It's a bit of a surprise here. Steelers stay put at 26. Surprisingly scored 30 on the Bengals, but lost. You'd think if the Steelers are going to score 30 in that game, they would win. But, yeah, showed some signs they can play some offense better than they have been in the past. Defense was a little disappointing in that one, but they're at number 26. The Colts are staying put at 25. Though they outplayed the Eagles for most of that game, but still lost. That's a tough one. It's a tough opponent as well. But, yeah, no reason to move them around here. So they're based on what's going on around them and what they did. So they're staying put at 25. Saints up 3 spots. Much needed win against the Rams. They get the job done there. Getting offense going, kind of similar to a few weeks ago, more than that, because they kind of went stale for a little bit there. So they're up 3 spots to 24. 23, the Jags stayed put at 23. The Jags, don't have the best record, but they play everybody tough. They play every team tough, it feels like. And they're very close to having a lot more wins. They don't, but if they did, they would be a lot higher in the rankings. But could actually be a tough task for the Ravens this week. Jaguars off the bye. 22, Browns down 3 spots. Tough one against the Bills. They started off hot, went super cold, and tried to come back, but it was too late. It was weird because Brissett, Cooper had big days. Chubb did not. So they're able to find ways to move the ball without Chubb, but they still got beat up in that game. Almost time for Deshaun Watson to come back. But the Browns are at 22. Packers stay put at 21. Super disappointing outing against the Titans. They were favored, and they just got completely outplayed in that game. So it's just extremely disappointing for the Packers. It's been a disappointing season. Maybe deserving of moving down, but looking at what's going on around them, I don't know. Do they deserve to be below some of these other teams that are below them? So they stayed put at 21. They play the Eagles this week. Falcons up 2 spots. Falcons were kind of cold up until this past week. A clutch win against the Bears. Bears are a team that can't close out games. The Falcons take advantage of that and win the game. Let's see if they can kind of put something together now. Cardinals got dominated against a good team in the 49ers. Only down 1 spot. Maybe deserving moving down more, you would think, because they just got dominated. But they're coming off a win against the Rams last week. All these other teams are really cold as well. whether it's this past week or the previous week. So Cardinals luckily only down one spot to number 19. We'll see if Murray's back for the Chargers game, which could go either way next week. Lions up 2 spots, number 18. They're putting together a win streak. Obviously, they've been soaring up the rankings. A few weeks ago, they were at the very bottom, so 18's looking pretty good for the Detroit Lions right now. A good win against the Giants in dominating fashion, too, a team that's been playing some pretty good ball. So can the Lions keep this rolling? 18 for them. That looks pretty good. Chargers stayed put. Another loss, a tough one. They played the Chiefs really well. Felt like the Chargers were better this week than previous weeks, even though they lost. It's tough to have them higher in this because, they're on a losing streak, but tough to move them down at the same time. It just feel like, the Lions are winning right now. It just feels like the Chargers are a better team than teams below them there. 16, the Jets down 5 spots. They have some impressive wins this year. They play really good defense, but in an offensive-driven league, when they really have no offense, it's absolutely brutal. It's beat up as well, but a lot of teams are beat up. It's tough, going out there and score 3 points and drop into 0-2 against your division rival. That's going to be a tight one the whole year. That's just brutal. So you got to move down quite a bit for that one, a 3-point outing there. So down 5 spots. I do like the defense still. And they're going to play everyone sort of close. They're going to play some tough defense. They're going to play teams tough. So luckily they play the Bears this week, so maybe they get back on track here. 15, the Patriots go up 1 spot. Not the prettiest outing for their offense. The defense, once again, gets the job done, and they win 10-3. Only touchdown was a special teams punt return, obviously, but another great defensive outing. They're going to go up 1 spot. Didn't see a lot there to have them soar up the rankings, but they will play the Vikings on Thursday night on Thanksgiving, so that is a winnable game, in my opinion, for the Patriots, and that could really boost them here, kind of get them going on that streak and everything. So we'll see. That should be a good one, entertaining one. Bucs gonna stay put at 14 off the bye. No movement there. They're heading in the right direction. Obviously, they'll play the Browns, this week, which I think that game can go either way. Like what the Bucs did the last time we saw them against Seahawks, they focused on pounding the football. Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette, and they need to continue to do that against the Cleveland Browns, at least to start this game to open up the pass. And defense had a good out against the Seahawks as well. So we'll see if the Bucs kind of continue that. Before that, they were kind of abandoning the run too easy, though, so let's see if they go back to their old ways of the season. The Giants are on 4 spots. Overall, it's been a very good season for the Giants. Still got a very good record, so tough to have them any lower than 13, but they got dominated by the Detroit Lions. The Lions were winning a couple games before that, but it just really shouldn't happen. Really shouldn't happen. Daniel Jones kind of playing like Daniel Jones. They weren't making those clutch plays that turned around games and got them the win. So they kind of, Saquon Barkley wasn't running insane, so they rely on some things. They rely on Jones taking care of the football, which is a kind of somewhat of a big ask. They rely on Barkley going wild, which really isn't a big ask, but you're relying on one guy to go wild, and you rely on your defense to making these crazy clutch turnovers in these huge moments as they've been doing all year, which they could do at any time, but they're asking a lot of interesting things of their team to continue to win, and they let us down here against the Lions, so they're going to move down for that. Let's see if they can turn it back around here. Bengals up 3 spots. Surprised they gave up 30 points to the Steelers, but also surprised they scored 37 against the Steelers. That pass rush, they found ways to do that. They see the Steelers kind of sticking in the game, kind of a back-and-forth game for a period of time, and just when they absolutely have to go make plays, they went and made plays. So I like that from the Bengals. They were able to go out and do that, and they're kind of putting some wins together here. So they're up 3 spots, number 12. They'll play the Tennessee Titans this week in a rematch from that wild AFC that playoff game last year. So that should be a lot of fun. Should be getting Jamar Chase back as well. So this game should be a lot of fun. They're up 3 spots, number 12. Commanders, weird seeing the Commanders at 11, but they continue to win. Remember, they're coming off that Eagles win last week. 2 weeks ago, I guess we'll say now, and this past week, the other day, they beat the Texans. The defense is just playing out of their minds. Like, this is the Commanders' defense. Like, going into last year, I expected the Commanders' defense to be elite, and it was a letdown. It was very disappointing. And throughout the year, they got a little bit better, but still disappointing. Started this year just very poor. And then all of a sudden, they're playing like one of the very best defenses in football. So this is more like it. And they're about to get Chase Young back. So it's very fun to watch. Offense, sure, they could be a little better, but they manage the clock. They run the football. They put teams away. So they're playing some pretty good football. over the last several weeks. So the Commanders are up 2 spots to number 11, and they were at the very bottom not super long ago. So good to see teams turning things around here. 10, the Seahawks stay put at 10. Yeah, the last time we see them was a disappointing loss against the Bucs, but look what they did over the stretch of the last several games. They were very, very impressive, and they did move down quite a bit for losing to the Bucs, but they stayed put at 10. They've had an impressive season overall. Niners are up 3 spots, a dominating win against the Cardinals. I keep saying I expect to have the Niners higher and higher every week. I expect to see them finish on my power rankings towards that top 4 or 5 because I think they're that good of a team. They kind of showed that. I think for the first time maybe in a while, they kind of showed that last night against the Cardinals. They were a little sloppy against the Chargers. They got the job done. They've had these slip-ups here and there. They lost some games they shouldn't really lose, probably due to injuries, but they're finally getting going. So let's see if they can kind of get it to, put it together like the top team that they are, and they'll continue to rise there. But they're heading in that direction. So they're up 3 spots, number 9. This is an interesting one. This is kind of a rare moment, but it kind of happens sometimes. The Ravens are down 2 spots after winning a ball game. It's a little rare for me, but I actually want to show the next 3 teams because these 3 teams were all kind of in the same ballpark and why the Ravens moved down 2 spots for happening, for why it happened and for while winning, I should say. Disappointing outing against the Panthers. Defense, love what the defense doing. It's been improving. It is the Panthers, though. Baker gave them some gifts. The Bills, had a more dominating fashion the score showed against the Browns and kind of getting out of that slump. So I did not feel that the Bills should move down at all for their win. I look at the Titans, who are at number 8, and they go to Lambeau Thursday Night Football. The Packers coming off a win against the Cowboys. The Packers are favored in the game, and the Titans they dominated them more than the score showed too. They dominated this game. They controlled this game. They played great on both sides of the ball. They did things we were waiting to see from them. Pass the ball, win in different ways. Make more clutch plays on offense. So the Titans had to move up, and I think they've been playing better football. And you look at the win streak they went on, and you look at their one loss was with Malik Willis in there and barely lost in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs. Overall, the Titans have been playing incredible football over the last several weeks. So the Titans needed to move up. So I put them ahead of the Bills and the Ravens. The Ravens, if they went out and just beat the Panthers like they should have beat the Panthers, it would have been impossible, just like the Bills. The Bills went out and beat the Browns like we thought they should beat the Browns. It would have been impossible to move the Ravens down. But because the Titans had to move up, and because the Bills, I didn't really see any reason to move them down at all. That is why the Ravens ended up at 8. It kind of could happen. Top 8 teams, I think the top 9 are in the tier of their own right now. Top 9, including the 49ers, they're getting going right now. They're all in that top tier. So we're talking the best of the best. If you slip up a little bit, even while winning, one of the better teams currently could hop over you. So that's what happened there. So those 3 teams were all very tight. But Titans are a regular season juggernaut, and so they're going to move up for that. 5, the Dolphins down 1 spot. They were on a bye. They've been playing incredible football. Offense has been great. It is more so because the Cowboys needed to move up. And the Dolphins were on a bye here. And I guess the Vikings kind of had played a part in that because the Vikings were actually at 1 last week because they're the hottest team in football, and they just get absolutely obliterated by the Dallas Cowboys. So Vikings slip up big time in that game. So they definitely got to move down. They moved down 3 spots. I thought about it, but I didn't find it necessary to move them below the Dolphins, keep Dolphins at 4. I know the Dolphins are hot, but we can't overreact too much from the Vikings 1 loss because what happened right before them, they were winning like crazy. They also had the head-to-head win against the Dolphins as well. So that made the most sense that the Dolphins down 1 spot to 5 and the Vikings down 3 spots to number 4 there. Tough when you're number 1 and you move down 3 spots. I don't know if that happens every day, but they got dominated by the Cowboys there. Speaking of the Cowboys, they're up 2 spots to number 3. They took down the number 1 team in dominating fashion, dominated on both sides of the ball, 7 sacks. That's the Cowboys that you kind of like to see, if you're a fan. I don't really like to see it because I'm a Vikings fan, but I do appreciate really good football, and that's what the Cowboys showed there. That Packers loss is tough. If they didn't lose that, I don't know how they lost the Packers. It happens, I guess. It happens. If they didn't lose that game, they would not be 3 right now. The Cowboys would be 1 or 2. So that one, that's kind of still fresh. Just 2 weeks ago, they had a disappointing loss there, but they are coming off that big win against the Vikings. So that's going to put them in the top 3. Eagles, it's tough because in that Eagles-Colts game, just looking at that alone, do the Eagles deserve to move up? You'd say no. But you look at what's going. The Vikings moved down. That's really what the Vikings had to move down for their loss, their bad loss. And Eagles have the head-to-head isn't everything with the power rankings. So there's 32 teams, but when it's so close, it could play a part. They have the head-to-head victory over the Cowboys and the Vikings. Not that they played a part here, but they do have a better record as well. The Cowboys do have that loss. I know the Commanders beat the Eagles last week. The Packers beat the Cowboys last week. So this was close. I thought about it, but I just didn't think there was really enough there to have the Cowboys ahead of the Eagles. I did like, the teams are starting to game plan better, let me start that over. Teams are starting to game plan better for the Eagles. So maybe they're not as good as they were earlier in the year. But what I did like from the Eagles is that, when things aren't going their way, they clutch up and find a way to win. I needed to see that from the Eagles still because everything's been so perfect for them earlier in the year. And we saw that. It wasn't the prettiest game, but we saw that. So there is a positive there that kind of goes along with the Eagles win there. So they're up one spot, number 2, and number 1 is pretty straightforward. They were number 2 last week because the Vikings were the hottest team in football before this week, but the Chiefs up to number 1. The Chargers seem like they got better. They gave them a challenge, but the Chiefs just continue. When they need to go win a ball game, they will go win a ball game. They are clutch, and they are currently the best team in football, in my opinion. So they are number 1. Shouldn't be too much of a surprise there, but yeah, top 3. Top 3 is real nasty right now. Or this year, I know the Vikings were up there at one point. The Dolphins are really heating up as well, so excited to see them coming off the bye week again. Titans just seem like a regular season juggernaut. Bills maybe kind of back rolling. Ravens on a little bit of a winning streak. They've just been a little sloppy. They kind of rely on one thing every week maybe to win. 1 week is the defense, 1 week is the running game. Niners are really heating up. The Niners, my power rankings are based on what's been happening, what's happening now. Some people make their power rankings like end of the year prediction. If I were to do like the end of the year prediction on who I think would be good and the best in the playoff atmosphere, I still think the Niners might be the team to beat, like in a playoff atmosphere, like for the NFC, I should say. But some tough teams there with the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Vikings. We're on a roll before this week. We can't count them out just because 1 week. Yeah, that's my power rankings. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments. Excited for Week 12 here. A lot of interesting games, tough ones to pick. We'll be doing our weekly picks tonight, Tuesday night. And then Wednesday afternoon score predictions like always. Please join us. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. There's a link pinned in the comments for that. Anything else you're looking for, it's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.